Hey everyone, I'm Dan from JazzComposersPresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. I'm joined today by David Berger, composer, arranger, conductor, and leading authority on the music of Duke Ellington and the swing era. David is here to ask the question, is it still possible to be original in the jazz tradition?
As we speak, jazz is over 100 years old and has a rich history. You could either look at it as intimidating to have to compete with the masters of the past, or inspiring to join in this tradition and express yourself and what your generation has to offer. About 40 years ago, Wynton Marsalis and I attempted to define jazz, and we came up with that there are four elements that are present throughout the whole history of jazz. And that is the blues, swing, grooves, and improvisational interplay. And these change from one generation to the next, one style or genre to the next. But they're all present in different quantities, maybe in different proportions. So we want to continue this tradition. I do. When I listen to music that I love, it inspires me to want to join and express myself through this language of jazz. I think it's very important to be personal. When we're from birth, really, we're kind of trained to not express ourselves, to be nice, to conform. Well, I'm suggesting that we need to conform a certain amount in order that everybody understands the language that we're speaking, but we also want to not conform and express our individuality. This is important, and jazz really encourages that. We have solos. Everybody expresses themselves in their solos. This is not present in a lot of other kinds of music. Something we really value in jazz. That everyone has their own sound and their own way of interpreting the material. So when we're beginning to write a piece of music, what is our inspiration? Some people say, well, I'm inspired by other pieces of music. Some people are inspired by nature or by your surroundings or a story, or there's all kinds of. I personally don't. A lot of my music is. I don't know where the inspiration comes from. An idea pops into my head, and I want to finish the story. Two of my favorite jazz composers are Horace Silver and Duke Ellington, and a long time ago, this would be in the 1970s, I was briefly dating this girl who was going to NYU. She wasn't a music major, but she was just taking this jazz history course or some kind of jazz course, and she said that they were having a guest come in to the next class, and it's going to be Horace Silver. Would you like to come? And I said, oh, can I? So I hadn't met Horace yet. I guess I was a little too shy to introduce myself when I saw him at the Vanguard, and it's not really my style to force myself on other people. But here was an opportunity that I was going to go to this class, and so Horace spoke, and then they opened it up for a Q&A, questions and answers. And so the students in the class didn't have any questions, so I raised my hand. And I said, I'm very aware of the influence of Bud Powell on your playing, but I can never figure out who your influences are for your composing. And he says, I only have one. And I said, well, would you care to tell us? And he said, yes, it's Duke Ellington. And I said, I never would have guessed that. He said, well, that's it. So that really stuck with me for a long time. And then I was writing a piece of music many years later, and I wanted to start it with like a trio, just piano, bass, drums, and a Latinish kind of thing, and try to capture Horace's spirit a little bit. It's not really anything that I know like Horace, but it just, there's a spirit about it. And then after the melody chorus is stated, then the ensemble comes in, and there I was thinking about a Duke Ellington album called Afrobossa. I wanted to get the vibe of that album. And while I was writing the chart, all of a sudden I understood what Horace was talking about, the connection between Duke Ellington and Horace Silver. So really kind of an epiphany that I didn't expect. Well, anyway, here's I'm going to play that piece. We'll play the opening trio section of it, and so it's sort of inspired by Horace, but not anything in particular. The example that I cited is from Rising Storm, and it's on my Hindustan CD. The form of that is like an ABA form, a little unusual. We usually have AABA in jazz, but in the old style. But I wasn't really thinking about that. When I compose, mostly I just spin out the melody, and then afterwards I put in the harmonies, rather than figuring out the harmonies first and then try to write a melody to fit the harmonies, because I feel that rhythm is the most important element. Remember I said there were 4 elements of jazz? Rhythm. No, I didn't talk about that. Well, there's 4 elements of music. There's rhythm, melody, harmony, and orchestration. And the importance in that exact order. Rhythm is the most important. So it has to have an interesting rhythm. And then the melody is the next most important. Then the harmony comes afterwards. So I deal with the harmony after that. And so in this case, I heard the melody in my head, and then I started, how can I make this melody sound good through the harmony, the parts that go underneath it. And I try to be creative, and don't feel any obligation to, well, I need a certain kind of a chord progression that goes with this. That's what people would do. I'm not really that concerned what people would do. What sounds good to me, it's what's important. And I encourage you to study the great music of the past, both classical music certainly and jazz, and then to follow your instincts and write what expresses you. And so I'm proposing evolution rather than revolution.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos in the comment section down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head over to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.